Правительство Германии стыдливо смирилось с унизительным разрушением газопроводов «Северные потоки» в ущерб коренным интересам германской экономики и германского народа. А теперь Берлин взял под козырек, когда США объявили о решении разместить на немецкой территории американские наземные ракеты средней дальности. Канцлер Шольц лишь назвал такое решение хорошим.
This is my video update on this Monday afternoon, November the 4th, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the Wall Street Journal article, which claims that Iran is planning a very hard strike on Israel. And this Iranian strike, according to sources from the Wall Street Journal, will involve much more powerful weapons than what we saw on October 1st. And according to the Wall Street Journal, they claim that this strike will not happen until after the US elections, which runs counter to the reports from Axios and CNN, which claimed that Iran was going to hit Israel before the elections. Well, the elections are tomorrow in the United States, so it does look like the Wall Street Journal has more reliable sources than Axios and CNN. But the Wall Street Journal article has the title. One sec, let me fix my mic. The Wall Street Journal, they have the article with the title, Iran tells region strong and complex attack coming on Israel. Tehran has warned diplomats that it is planning to use more powerful warheads and other weapons. And in this article, the Wall Street Journal claims that Iran does not want to influence the U.S. elections with its attacks, according to an official, and they will launch this powerful strike on Israel after November the 5th. The target, according to the Wall Street Journal, is going to be Israeli military facilities. So that is what the WSJ is saying. Let's now talk about North Korean troops in Russia. North Korean troops in Russia, which is a huge, massive escalation in the conflict in Ukraine, those North Korean troops in Russia. But we've got an update as to what is happening with those pesky North Korean troops in Russia, in Kursk. According to Ukraine media sources, which is now being picked up by Collective West media sources, the first North Korean troops in Kursk have come under fire. They have come under fire. We are even getting reports that we have the first casualties of North Korean troops in Kursk. Got a lot of vloggers in Limassol. Huh? Anyway, we have the reports that the first casualties of North Korean troops in Kursk being reported by Ukraine media outlets. Bloomberg even picked this up. Bloomberg is now saying that North Korean troops are coming under fire in Kursk. And we even have reports from South Korean media sources that the troops, the North Korean troops in Russia, in Kursk, that are coming under fire, are actually coming under Russian fire. So Russia is is firing on the North Korean troops inside of Russia. Oh my God, it's so painful. Reporting this news sometimes is, oh boy. Look, the North Korean troops, if there are North Korean troops in Russia, it's very clear that they're there for training reasons. They're there to be trained. That is what they're doing in Russia. These 3,000 or 8,000 or 12,000 troops in the east, in Kursk, they're there to train. But we're now getting the reports that they're coming under fire. Some sources saying that they're coming under fire from the Russian military because that's the Russian military. Everybody, you know how the Russian military is, right? Just firing all over the place. They're firing on the Zaporozhye power plant, which they're firing on the power plant that they hold, because that's what they do. They're firing on the North Korean troops in Kursk that are supposed to be on their side. You know how that poorly trained, poorly equipped, running out of weapons Russian military is, right? Oh, let's see what the Kiev Independent is saying. First, North Korean troops come under fire in Kursk Oblast. Ukrainian official claims the first North Korean soldiers stationed in Russia's Kursk Oblast to aid Moscow's war have come under fire. Andrei Kovalenko, the head of the counter disinformation, you can't make this stuff up, the head of the counter disinformation department at Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, reported on November the 4th. The official did not provide any more details, of course he didn't, on the circumstances of the engagement or possible losses on the North Korean side, because he doesn't know. I'm adding my own commentary in here. The Kiev Independent could not verify the claims. Of course it can't. Zelensky said that if Ukraine had permission to use Western long-range weapons on Russian territory, it could preemptively target every camp in Russia where North Korean troops are gathered. Of course he can. Of course Zelensky, if he was given permission, can preemptively target every single camp of North Korean troops inside of Russia. Of course, I could hit every camp. If they give me permission, I hit every camp where North Korean troops are in Russia. Just give me permission. Podolyak, how come they don't give me permission? I can hit every camp. Yeah, the Kiev Independent, they can't verify any of this. This story is originating from Ukraine's head of counter disinformation. That's where this story is originating from. Ukraine's head of counter disinformation, who has no details of anything, doesn't know how many North Koreans have been attacked or come under fire, has no idea of anything, doesn't know where, how, who, what, when. We don't know. But South Korea, they decided to run their own propaganda, their media outlets, and report that the North Korean troops are actually being hit by Russian troops. Man. Oh, man. Forbes is reporting that the United States will provide Ukraine with over 200 Stryker armored personnel carriers to defend the Kursk region against potential pressure from North Korea. Listen to that sentence. Listen to what I just read. The U.S. is going to give Ukraine 200 Stryker armored personnel carriers to help defend the Kursk region, to help defend Russia, a region in Russia, against potential pressure from North Korean troops in Russia. All right, so that's what Forbes is reporting. And we are also getting reports which claim that the North Korean troops are in Russia, in Kursk, because Putin worked out a deal with Kim Jong-un where Russia is going to give North Korea cash, food, space technology. $2,000, I believe, a month is what he's going to pay the troops. And Kim Jong-un said, yeah, that's a great deal. And that's the compensation for the North Korean troops in Russia to be attacked by the Russian military. They're in Russia to be attacked by the Russian military, but they're going to get food, and they're going to get cash, and they're going to get some really cool space tech, like really cool space technology stuff. and $2,000 a month. 2,000 bucks a month. Let's see. North Korea has reportedly dispatched 10 to 12,000 troops to Russia. It was 8,000, it was 3,000, then it went to 8,000, then it went to 10,000, then Blinken said 8,000, now it's 10 to 12,000. With the first soldiers allegedly already coming under fire in Kursk Oblast. Okay, North Korean soldiers are believed to receive $2,000 per month for their service from Russia, adding up to a total of at least 200 million annually if calculated by 10,000 soldiers. Wang Sung-yak, a member of the South Korean Parliamentary Intelligence Committee, told the Korea Herald. Moscow is also believed to have helped ease North Korea's food shortage, the lawmaker said, citing intelligence briefings. Okay, so this is coming from South Korea, this information. South Korea would never lie. A South Korean parliament member would never, ever lie about this, would they? No. Trust in the news from South Korea, that's what I say. Yeah. Some Annalena math, huh? 200 million annually. 200 million annually if calculated by 10,000 soldiers. So let's do some Annalena Baerbock math. Let's see, 10,000 soldiers times $2,000 a month. Carry the zero, multiply it by the square root of 360 times 180 degrees. Annalena math gives me 200 million annually. That's the deal that Putin made with North Korea. Wow. Does Russia have that money? I don't think Russia has that money. Its economy's in tatters. Tatters, I tell you. Oh, boy. All right, so that's the update on the North Korean soldiers in Russia story. Huge, massive escalation, according to Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO. And the news is that Ukraine needs to mobilize 500,000 more troops. Last week it was 160,000. Now it's 500,000, according to Roman Kostenko, Secretary of the Parliamentary Defense Committee. In his view, it is necessary to mobilize 500,000 citizens given current battlefield conditions. Yeah, they need 500,000 troops to take on the 10,000 North Koreans in Kursk. But yeah, we've gone from 160,000 now to 500,000. Well, this is 500,000 according to the Secretary of Parliamentary Defense. That's what he's saying, 500,000. They've tried the 500,000 before when Zaluzhny was the commander-in-chief, and that bombed. That was a complete disaster, the mobilizing 500,000 troops. So they went down to 160 as of last week, and now they're going to go back up to 500,000. Anyway, that's the story there. And a lot of posts on social media talking about how Google leaked images of Ukrainian military systems on Google Maps. There was some sort of update on Google Maps over the weekend, and allegedly the updates showed Ukraine military position, air defense, Patriot systems, where they're located, and and this is where this story gets ridiculous, because it was over the weekend. Because this update happened on Friday, Ukraine officials, military officials, they tried to call Google to tell them to fix the problem. Hey, Google, you did an update on maps, and now you're showing where all our military assets are located in Ukraine. And the Russians, according to various reports, the Russian military, they're passing these images all over the place, all over Russia. they're passing these images of where the Ukraine assets are located. And because it was over the weekend, Ukraine's military couldn't get in touch with anybody at Google to tell them to take down these images. Because, Google's a company of I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 employees, and over the weekend they take the weekends off, right? And there's no one to contact at Google Maps customer service. So yeah, of course the Russians, they don't have any satellites or any info on their own. They rely exclusively on Google Maps when trying to figure out where Ukraine's military assets are located. They have no satellite imagery, the Russian military. That's why they're hitting those North Korean troops in Kursk, because they don't have the satellites to help them out. But yeah, it was over the weekend, and they couldn't get anybody on Google Maps customer service or tech support to remove those images. Oh boy. I can imagine the Ukraine military officials. They see the Google Maps images of their Patriot air defense systems, where they're located on Google Maps, and so they're calling up Google tech support, 1-800 Maps tech support, and they're dialing the number. For problems with your browser, please press 1. Or thank you for calling Google Maps technical support. For problems with your Chrome browser, please press 1. For problems with Street Maps, please press 2. For problems with Google Earth, please press 3. For problems with military assets and military equipment being shown on maps, please press 4. Press 4! Press 4, Petoliak! 4, not 3! Oh boy. Let's talk some more about what's happening with Project Ukraine. So the Kiev Post, they put up an article with the title, "Kiev repels another Russian drone attack. Debris scattered across the city." The assault on Kiev spanned around 3 hours, during which Ukrainian air defenses effectively intercepted every enemy drone. Now, over the past week, I've been getting reports, we've all been seeing reports, all of us have been seeing reports of Russian drone activity over Kiev almost every day. And we're not talking about 5 or 10 drones. We're talking about hundreds of drones over Kiev every single day. Sometimes in the daytime, morning hours, where you could see the drones. Every day, Russian drones are flying over Kiev, and the thinking is that what Russia is doing is that they're launching all of these drones over Kiev so that they can further deplete Ukraine's air defense systems for an eventual missile strike, a big missile strike that could be happening in weeks or months. And this is just speculation, just some analysis that is floating about the interwebs, but that is why you're seeing a lot of drones. At least that is what many analysts are saying. All these drones over Kiev, whether they're being intercepted or not being intercepted, it doesn't seem to be the point to all of this. The point to all of this appears to be depleting Ukraine air defenses throughout Kiev for what will be a big Russian missile strike, maybe a decisive Russian missile strike in the future. We know that Ukraine's air defense systems are in very bad shape, and we also know that those air defense systems, whatever they have left, are pretty much concentrated in a couple of big cities: Kiev, Odessa, Lviv, and that's pretty much it. And we also know that the collective West, they're having a hard time providing Ukraine with the interceptor missiles and other air defense systems. So that appears to be what is happening in Kiev. At least that's some of the thought about all of these drones constantly flying over the city. Speaking of Kiev, Annalena 360 is in Kiev today. She made a surprise visit to Kiev to meet with Zelensky and Podolyak. Hey, Annalena, how you doing? Have you met my friend Podolyak? But this is her eighth, I think her eighth or ninth trip to Kiev. And this is an unannounced trip, at least after Germany called the foreign ministry in Russia. The German foreign ministry called the Russian foreign ministry, and they asked the Russian foreign ministry, is it okay if Annalena Baerbock travels once again to Kiev? And the Russian foreign ministry said, okay, we'll allow her safe passage to Kiev. And then she made this surprise unannounced visit to Kiev. So after she got the permission from Russia, she surprised everyone by showing up in Kiev. What is she doing in Kiev? She's probably in Kiev because she represents the part of the EU which is there to tell Zelensky not to worry, no matter what happens after election day, even if it is the big bad DJT coming out on top as president. We will see. We will see after tomorrow what happens in the U.S. Even if it is Trump, the European Union has your back, Zelensky. Do not worry. For as long as it takes, we have your back, even if Trump wins in the elections. I imagine that was the overall message that she's bringing to Ukraine. Keep everyone in Europe unified, or try to keep as many countries in Europe unified with their support for Project Ukraine. Because on the other side of the equation, you have Orban. Orban is leading the revolution against EU support for Project Ukraine. And you know, if Trump wins, Orban being an ally of Trump, well, Orban is going to be sitting very pretty if Trump does win. And Orban has said that, or at least he's implied through many statements, that he's going to advise Trump to wind down the conflict in Ukraine, or at least the U.S.'s support for the conflict in Ukraine. So those are the battling forces. Annalena Baerbock in one corner, Viktor Orban in the other corner. So that is the update with 360 making a surprise visit to the man in the green T-shirt, and we are getting reports. Actually, this was brought to my attention by a friend of mine in the banking sector, in the finance sector, and he told me a couple of days ago that many Russian banks have had sanctions lifted by the United States. They've been allowed to conduct transactions with the United States, with U.S. banks, and I couldn't confirm this, but I was a bit skeptical. I mean, I believed this information, but I was also skeptical because once you're on the sanctions escalator, you never come down from the sanctions escalator. But sure enough, today it looks like we're getting the confirmation that the U.S. Treasury has lifted, at least temporarily, sanctions on various Russian banks, actually on a lot of big Russian banks, so that the U.S. can purchase various commodities, oil, petroleum products, natural gas, coal, timber, uranium. This is actually being confirmed by the Sirius Report. They put up a post on this on X. Rules-based order at its finest. Sanctions don't apply to the U.S. U.S. Treasury Department is now authorizing financial transactions with multiple Russian banks. This is to permit the purchase of renewables, oil, petroleum products, natural gas, coal, timber, and uranium. So this is proven true. the U.S. has lifted for a time being the sanctions on Russian banks so that they can buy stuff. And the banks are big. The banks are really, really big that have had these blocks lifted. Sberbank, VTB, Alpha Bank, the National Clearing Center, Rosbank, as well as Promsvia Bank, which is, from what I understand, a big bank in terms of oil and gas and stuff like that. But this is a big story. This is going to really, this has got to really anger the European Union. You've got to think, huh? They've placed sanctions, sinking their economies at the orders of the Biden White House, and now they're getting reports that the Biden White House is lifting blocks so that the United States can purchase all of these things from Russia. Interesting story, huh? So a big thank you to my friend in the industry who a couple of days ago he called this one. He called it. So let's move on and talk about what happened. I believe it was yesterday, wasn't it? Either yesterday or 2 days ago, with the King of Spain traveling to Paiporta in Valencia, right? Where the floods have caused horrific damage. I believe 211 lives lost and 1,900 people are still missing in these catastrophic floods in Spain. And the king, he visited this area. And I was going to actually report on this yesterday. And I was going to show videos because the king and the queen, they were visiting, as well as the prime minister, as well as Sanchez. They were visiting this area. And most of the videos were showing residents of this area very upset with the king, the queen, and with the prime minister. And as the king was walking through the crowds, they were throwing mud at him. Sanchez, I don't even think Sanchez made it out of his car, did he? He didn't even get out of his car, and he just tucked tail and left. Just split. He didn't even bother. At least I haven't seen any images of him actually getting out of his car and talking to the residents or trying to talk to the residents. But they were smashing his car up as he was running away. But then I saw other videos. Where am I getting at here? Then I saw other videos starting to surface of the king and the queen after they had mud thrown at them. The queen actually, you could see mud on her face, on her hands. They were actually starting to talk to the residents, and it seemed like they came to an understanding, or at least they were talking to each other after the initial mudslinging and the shouting and the yelling. They actually started to talk to each other. And that's why I didn't talk about this yesterday, because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think the first videos that went viral, they're accurate videos, but I don't think they paint the full picture of what happened. The king, first of all, the residents have every right to be furious with the authorities. It's not the king's duty. I mean, he's not in charge of what happened. I mean, that falls on the government and ultimately on the prime minister. But the prime minister didn't bother, at least from what I saw. I could be wrong about this, but at least from what I saw, the prime minister didn't bother to get out and actually try to listen to the citizens or engage with the citizens, even though they were angry. You know, he has a duty to listen to them, even if they're shouting at him. He has to accept it, right? You have to take the shouts and the cursing. Sometimes you have to even take the mud being thrown at you. He didn't do that. At least I didn't see any images or video. The king did, and the queen did. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think it says something. The fact that that they walked through the crowds, they took the mud, and it looks like eventually they did engage with the angry citizens of the region. Rightly so, very, very angry, because from what I understand, the government has handled everything that has happened in Valencia and other areas. They've handled this in a terrible way. And there's a lot of reports as to why this happened in the first place. I'm not going to get into the details because I'm not so confident that I have a clear understanding as to why this happened. But there may be people in Spain that have a better understanding as to what's going on. They can let everybody know in the community, in the comments down below, what exactly happened and why this happened, why this was allowed to happen, and the response of the government officials and the anger of the citizens. But am I getting this wrong? At least my view on the king and the queen. I mean, it seems like they were walking through the anger and then the mud and everything being thrown at them to eventually engage with the people. While the prime minister, it doesn't look like that's what happened. I have read stories that the prime minister had sticks thrown at him, and then because of security reasons, he got in his car and took off. Anyway, just some thoughts on all the videos that came out from yesterday in Payaporta, Spain. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but incredible videos and incredible images. So we had the elections in Moldova. I think this is going to be my final story. Yeah, before I get to a clown world, we had the elections in Moldova. Should we go for a walk? Let's go for a little bit of a walk. And as predicted, Sandu, the pro-EU, WEF, globalist Sandu, she won the elections, 55% to like 45% or 53% to 47, whatever it is, whatever the final results were. And it happened exactly as all of us thought it was going to happen. She was losing most of the day. Early evening, she was down by 5 points. 80% of the votes counted, or 70% of the votes counted, something like that. And sure enough, as the evening progressed, the votes from the Moldovan diaspora started coming in and started to be counted, and Sandu ends up winning. As expected. What a terrible outcome, isn't it? To be living in Moldova, to not want this government, because Sandu is very unpopular. No one likes her. Very few people in Moldova, living in Moldova day to day, want her to lead the country. But because of the Moldovans living outside of Moldova, she becomes... she's going to serve a second, what is this, her second term now? Yeah, I think this is her second term. And of course, the Moldovans living in Russia, they had a lot of difficulties voting in these elections, as was to be expected. Democracy in Europe. So it looks like Moldova's path to the European Union is secured. Which is more bad news for Moldova, because the EU is going to absolutely destroy Moldova. Moldova is going to make it difficult for the European Union, but it's a small country. I imagine they're going to put a lot of the responsibility on Moldova onto Romania. But so the damage from Moldova to the European Union is going to probably be limited. But boy, is the EU going to do a lot of damage to Moldova. All because of Moldovans living outside of the country, and they're not going to have to live with these results. So anyway, that was the results in Moldova. Let's do some clown worlds. And we have another Kamala Harris endorsement, everybody. This is a big one. This might be the endorsement that pushes Harris over the top. Yeah. It's coming from Poker Face herself, Lady Gaga. That's her song, Poker Face. I'm not saying she has a poker face. That's her song, Poker Face, right? Lady Gaga has come out and endorsed Kamala Harris. Wow, that's a big one. Everyone knows that whoever Lady Gaga endorses always ends up winning, because Lady Gaga, she's got a very good understanding of U.S. politics, especially elections and polling data. she's an expert in all that stuff, and policy. She's an expert in policy, and everyone should absolutely listen to Lady Gaga and what she says. Absolutely. So yeah, Harrison Ford, LeBron James, Beyonce, J-Lo. Now we have Lady Gaga. I'm sure there's some more celebrities that have endorsed Harris, but anyway, all the celebrities are endorsing Harris. Celebrities know best. Always keep that in mind. Actors, singers, they know. Always trust them. They never lie. They never lie. It's their job not to lie. Right? That's what they do for a living, is not lying. So when they endorse someone and they tell you to trust them and to vote for the person that they endorse, you should absolutely trust the celebrities, the Hollywood elite. So that's the one clown world. And the final clown world is that Russia has changed the name of one of its departments, I believe, in the foreign ministry. This department is in the foreign ministry. It used to be called the Department of Pan-European Cooperation, the DOC. Now it's going to be called the Department of European Problems, the DEP, which is fantastic, actually. You're finally calling one of these departments, you're giving it the name that it deserves. And Maria Zakharova, she said in a statement, she told local media in Russia that the name change reflected changes in geopolitical realities, including the obvious degradation of multilateral cooperation structures in Europe. Yeah, the Department of European Problems, because there is no European cooperation. It was the Department of European Cooperation. Now it's a Department of European Problems because, well, it's all problems with Europe, isn't it? So, yeah. The Department of Defense. It should be called the Department of War. Wasn't it called the Department of War once upon a time in the United States? I believe it was. I believe at one point it was called the Department of War, which is a more accurate name. Now it's called the Department of Defense. Anyway, that's it for today. That is it for today, walking here in Limassol. Beautiful Limassol, Cyprus. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like the t-shirt I'm wearing today in this video. 20% off, use the code October20, that is October20. And give a like to this video, subscribe to this channel. 210,000 subscribers on YouTube. Can I get there? Can I get there? YouTube unsubscribes people who follow my channel all the time, so check your subscription as well. There's a good chance you might have been unsubscribed from the channel. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. Take care.